So here we have the brand new Coach fragrance. This is called Coach Green. I was on Macy's website not too long ago, so I said, you know what, let me take a trip to my local Macy's. I'll see if they actually have this one in stock. And as it turns out, they did have it in stock, so I purchased this one along with a bunch of other fragrances. I'm always having some type of a haul, but in today's video, I'm going to give you my thoughts on this brand new composition, so make sure to stay tuned. Now, before I begin today's episode and I give you my thoughts on the brand new Coach Green by Coach, obviously, I'll tell you about the notes, the performance, comparisons. As a matter of fact, this has gotten compared to a lot of other fragrances online already, and some of them I do find the comparisons to be justified. In other situations, I don't think it's quite close to the fragrances being compared. But in any case, I do want to start the video off first by saying that if you're a fan of fragrance related content, that includes top 10 fragrances videos, giveaways, unboxings, special guests, all that good stuff, I do want to say please consider supporting the channel by subscribing to it, hit the bell icon, and give this video a thumbs up. It would greatly assist with the YouTube algorithm. This one was composed by perfumer Marie Salamagne, and this is, of course, a green version of the Coach lineup. Of course, there's the original Coach for Men, which kind of has that Dior Sauvage component to it. There's Coach Blue, which is a bit more oceanic and ozonic. And of course, with a name like Coach Green, you anticipate this one to have some green elements. Now, when I think of green, especially in green fragrances, Polo Green or Parfum de Marly Greenly, there's a lot of fragrances that have green in the name. I think of oak moss, I think of vetiver, I think of fir balsam, I think of patchouli. There's so many green ingredients. Some of them go in a more classic direction. Some others can be in a fruity direction, green apple. As a matter of fact, in the note breakdown, this fragrance contains kiwi. In any case, I'm going to give you my thoughts on the smell in just a bit. Let's start things off with a quick look at the presentation first. Now, right in the opening of this fragrance, you are going to get a notion or a vibe from it that smells very bright, very citrusy, and sure enough, there is bergamot in this fragrance. And it does open up very bright and very citrus heavy. And I think I remember seeing online, some people were comparing this one to Dior Sauvage. Not really. You don't get the ambroxan, you don't get that metallic opening that a lot of people talk about. It's a little metallic-y or static-y or whatever adjective you want to use to describe it. I don't get that from this one, but it does create a bridge between this one and the original Coach for Men, which has gotten compared to Dior Sauvage. So that just goes to show you that this is kind of a manipulation of the original Coach for Men DNA. That's the best way that I can put it at the moment. Now, this one does have those green elements in it, as I mentioned before. In the opening, there is this sort of kiwi note as far as the note breakdown is concerned. To me, it doesn't smell explicitly of kiwi, and kiwi, I guess, has a very particular appearance and smell and taste, and I've consumed a number of kiwi fruits in the past, and what I can say is this one smells more like green apple than anything else. I'm sure there's some synthetic aroma molecule that can be found in a variety of different fruits, and it's like, all right, well, just throw this in there. You can say it's kiwi. It makes it sound more exotic. I don't get kiwi from this one. I know there was a Lotus Pour Homme flanker many years ago. I forget the year, and I don't want to give you the wrong year, by Issey Miyake, and that had kiwi in it, and I really enjoyed that one, and I had the same critique for that fragrance. It didn't really smell like kiwi per se. There are some ingredients, you smell it and you're like, oh, that's rose, or wow, that's jasmine, or wow, that's patchouli. In this, I don't smell anything to myself, oh, kiwi. That doesn't come to mind, certainly. But what I do get are some green and some aromatic components. There's clary sage, there's rosemary. I think there's clary sage. I do remember rosemary and geranium being in the note breakdown, but in the dry down, you get oak moss, and I do get the oak moss. As a matter of fact, you give this one a chance to dry down. It does have a bit of a classic vibe to it. At one point, I thought I was wearing Woods by Abercrombie & Fitch, and I'm like, wow, this is pretty classy, right? This has that old school green vibe to it, almost kind of like a Chypre vibe. I was also reminded of the original Paco Rabanne Pour Homme in the green bottle. So here's the thing. People online have compared this one to Greenly by Parfums de Marly. I do find that in some ways it could be similar, especially because of that citrusy / fruity introduction. Greenly actually dries down fresh. This one dries down green. So it is kind of compared to it, not entirely. I don't think this is a twist or an inspiration of Greenly or anything like that. But I do find this one to be a bit more on the earthy and green side of things as far as oak moss is concerned. Nevertheless, Coach Green, I think, is a nice fragrance if you like those types of fragrances. I don't think you should blind buy this one though, especially if you're a fan of the original Coach for Men and Coach Blue. This is in many ways a deviation from that composition and that DNA. So I think this one is going to be compared to the most recent Polo by Ralph Lauren. They made one with a much lighter concentration. It might have been called Polo Cologne. It's a smaller bottle. I purchased it, I reviewed it, and it came out a couple of years ago, or maybe even last year. I forget the proper name for it because everything is just a concentration has become the flanker, right? This is the eau de parfum version, the parfum version, the elixir version, the extrait version, the whatever version. So a lot of these names are kind of nebulous, and I don't quite remember all of them. But anyway, it does tend to go in an earthy green direction, not as fresh as I thought it was going to be, but that's neither here nor there. It's all subjective. Try it for yourself. And I sincerely hope you like it. For me personally, I prefer the other two over this one. I would sooner recommend the original Coach for Men and Coach Blue before I recommend this one. But, you know, that's just my opinion, and I'm just one man in a sea of fragrance aficionados. So try it for yourself, and you might actually end up really enjoying it. Let's go ahead and finish things off with my overall assessment. Now, first up, in terms of the uniqueness and the overall smell, I don't think it's the most unique smell, and I don't think it's the most memorable smell either. It's something that you've smelled before, you've tried it before, and it just kind of smells very fresh with a bright citrusy introduction, and it dries down to like this sort of neutered oak moss ingredient, right? Not overly earthy, overly dark, or overly, you know, masculine and raunchy or anything like that, but it's kind of clean and it does its own thing, and it works well for a Coach fragrance. I think they were targeting a certain demographic, and I think they did a wonderful job in terms of their targeting. Overall smell, I think, is pleasant. It's the most grown-up version of all of the Coach fragrances that I've gotten my nose on so far. Longevity was a solid 7 hours. Projection was great for the first 45 minutes of application. It radiated within an arm's length. It became an elbow's length scent right around hour 4. The skin scent right around hour 6 or 7. In terms of the versatility, I think this one is masculine leaning. I think this one would appeal to anybody of any age, better for the hotter weather, and I think this one can be worn dressed up or dressed down. And as far as the presentation is concerned, my bottle is actually leaking a little bit, and I'm not sure exactly what's up with it. I did have to press down on the atomizer a few times, probably around 20 times before I actually got it to spray. And as I was spraying it, I noticed a little bit of the liquid was dripping on the collar here and down this tassel or this pseudo dog tag that's hanging from it. But in any case, I'm sure that's just something that happened in my bottle. I hope it's not a QC issue, but nevertheless, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you took something of value from today's episode, please do consider supporting the channel by subscribing to it, hit the bell, give this video a thumbs up. That was my review of the brand new Coach Green. Drop your comments down below. Let me know, what do you think of this fragrance? What has your experience been with Coach fragrances in general? Do you have any? Drop your comment down below. Always love to hear from you. Thank you for watching. Love you guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.